Hello everyone and welcome to the new video. As you know, I finally finished the short film coupon and posted it on my channel, and I will now share Blender and After Effects file with you on my Patreon. In this video I will show you how you can use them and few tips and tricks. So far I have published only long tutorials on Patreon. I keep a rhythm of once a month, so I record 6 tutorials in 6 months. And I will try continue like that, but apart from long tutorials, I will try to record every month and some short videos like this one. 5 or 10 minutes to show some tips or tricks and to keep try people here on Patreon. For the next tutorial I have planned to record how I made this scene from start to finish. So far I have recorded tutorial for these 4 scenes based on this film, but there is no robot in any of them, so in the next tutorial there will finally be a robot. Let's back to the files. Files are mainly intended for learning. You can study lighting, materials, camera settings, but also you can use some object in your projects. In the After Effects files you can study the color grading and see some of the effects I usually use. We have here 14 Blender files, and you can get 22 scenes from these files just changing camera, and this is all scenes you can get from these files. So let's open first file. If we press F12 we get this scene. But if you select another camera and you can go to view, camera, set active object as camera. But instead of trying find camera in scenes, you can just go to here in scene properties tab and just change camera. And now you can press numpad 0 and you will see which camera you select. Here you can see message that tree is missing in the scene. That's because this is not my object and I cannot share this object with you. And here is how these trees look. This one is just image plane. So this is this object. And you can see that this is just PNG image plane with a transparent background, and you can see difference in render quality. So you can just copy this link and go to paste here, and you can download this object for free, and I also use this one in scene, so you can download both for free. This is what you get when you download this object. I will go to layout here, and my recommendation is to not copy this object right now in our scene, because this scene is already big and this object have 1 million vertices. So if you go to edit mode, you can see how much vertices this object have, and my recommendation is to go to mesh, clean up, decimate geometry, and here on left you can type how much you want to keep these vertices. So I will keep only 5% of this, and I will type here 0.05. And now this object is more low poly, but if you look from afar you can see that this still look good. So we can now copy this object and paste to our scene and set to position. So you can scale, rotate and duplicate this. My recommendation is not use Shift D to duplicate, because you will duplicate all these vertices, and if you go with Alt D you will make instances of this object. So if you go to edit mode, select this object and go to edit mode and edit one of these trees, this will affect another tree because this is same object. If you rotate this and scale, nobody will know that this is same tree. You can download this high quality object from 3D Shaker, and I also use these brushes here. I put this on these walls all around, but you have one free version of this in Blender. If you go to edit and preferences, you can type here Ivy, and you can activate this Ivy generator, and here in creative you can see here this Ivy plugin. So you just need to select the object where you want to put this Ivy and put your cursor here, and you can just click add new Ivy. You can play with these settings, but this is without material, so I just create a simple material here. So let's go to shading tab to see what is here. This is just one texture I found on internet. You can see how this look, and I just plug this to base color and mix this with translucent BSDF, and now we can just copy this material here, and you can also duplicate this with Alt D. You can see these boats here, and this is something I made from scratch, and there is 3 different type of boat, and I just duplicate this all the time. So I will show you how you can select this. So I will go to with numpad 7 to top orthographic view, and you can just go to edit mode, to X-ray mode, and you can select one of this boat, and with control you can deselect all this object you don't need. And now I will copy this object, and we can go to another object and just paste this here, and here is our boat. This is parent object, so all these boats elements are parent to this empty cube, and you can now just move this cube in our scene. If you wonder how I animate this boat, is much simple. That you mean there is one add-on called Wiggle, and this is from William Landgren. You can find on Google. You just need set these settings here and just click Wiggle, and if you press space, your boat is animated. And if I go with some crazy value, for example 1 here, and click Wiggle, you can see what you get. And you can play also with speed. And I also do same with these objects here. If you want to learn how to model this from scratch, you can look for this tutorial here on my website, this one. And you can also learn how to make these photo scans with reality capture. So this is model I made. And all these are photo scans. And in this tutorial I also explain how you can get these heads here and all these elements. This water here is just a plane with node setup, so we can go to shading tab and you can see that this is created mostly with noise texture, combination of noise texture, and it's animated, and all is connected to glass BSDF. And you can see here how this look. If we go to edit mode, you can see that this is just one big plane, but here where robot drops something in the water, I use dynamic paint and I set this as waves, and this is brush object. So if we go here to edit mode, you can see few spheres, and in this keyframes this go down and create waves. For lighting scene I use two HDRI. The first one is just for lighting, and this is this one. I like this sunrise HDRI because this gives me this low sun effect, and I can put in focus this area, but in this HDRI I don't like this clean blue sky, so I download another HDRI and I put this one visible only in camera. So this first one is for lighting scene, and another one with clouds is visible in camera, so I use this in camera ray as vector and I mix them together. Second Blender file we have here is same like first one, but just a night version, so with different lighting. And we can open this now and see lighting setup here. First I remove this HDRI and put only this dark blue color with low value, and most of my lighting here is with this spotlight and with this point lamp down. With this spotlight I get mostly this effect on walls, but I don't get anything down here. So that's the reason why I combine this spot lamp with point lamp. So I just duplicate this, and with Alt D or Shift D duplicate this all the way. And I just put one lamp here and also 4 point lamps here to get some light on this area. So let's talk a little about this scene. You can see this here nice bokeh effect, and I create this in After Effects. In few scenes here I get a nice bokeh, especially here. And here directly in Blender, but with this scene I don't get anything in Blender, so I create this in After Effects, and I will now show you how. So this is After Effects, and this is before. This is just from Blender, and this is after. So you can see big difference. Let's open this Blender file. And to get this bokeh effect, I need first light in background. So I create few spheres here and just create emission material with different colors, and I also animate them to get this blinking effect you can see here. Next thing we need here is this depth or Z pass, and you can activate this here in layer properties tab. Just activate this Z pass, and you need to go to compositing, and here we have depth pass, but I think this pass need to go through normalize, and I also use denoise, so I activate this denoise data, and this is after denoising. And I also use this color ramp to get more blacks here. Our bokeh or blur effect will be visible only in this white color, and it will not be visible where is black color. And how we can render all animation and save render pass and Z pass. Let's create here just test folder. I will call this render, and I will create here Z pass. So I will copy this address of this folder, and for render pass we need set folder here. So I will accept this folder, and I will now go with file output, and I will connect this here, and I will here choose Z pass folder. And if we go with render animation, so first I will just bring resolution down because this will be so slow, and I will set this only to 10. And if we go here to render animation, and you can see that now this main render will be saved in this folder, and our Z pass will be saved in this folder, and we can use this in After Effects later. So this is just from Blender, and this is After Effects, before and after. And I will for now delete all this and start for beginning. And I will delete this bokeh effect here, and let's open our render and Z pass. So I will rename this just to Z, and first I will bring this down, and I will bring this Z pass also here. And now I will go with new adjustment layer, and I will call this camera lens blur. And I will find this effect here, camera lens blur, and I will bring this to this layer. Now all this render is blurred by this value, but we don't want blur effect here, we want only in this area, so we will use this Z pass as vector here. So now only where is white color is blur, where is black color is not blur. And now we can play with this value here. If we go up with this, we get more blur effect here, and we can also play with this aspect ratio here. So this is before and after. This is how you can get fake bokeh effect in After Effects. Let's talk about these effects here. So this one is halation. I will explain this in another scene. This is not a good example. And this too is blur effect. So this just create a little atmosphere, like volumetric effect. I will delete this for now, and I will copy this main render, and I will now just go with Gaussian blur here. And you can put this value about 300, and we get this blurred image. And I can now just go with press T for opacity and just set this maybe to 10 to get this atmosphere effect here. If we go with 50, you can see what we get here. But this is too much. I will go maybe about 5% with this. And the next one is chromatic aberration. You can see on this edges little this effect. Before and after. And the next one I call focus. So I will delete this and create another one. So a new adjustment layer, and rename this to focus. And I will go with lumetri color here. And now I will just bring this exposure up to about 2. And I want to put in focus this main object here, so I will go with ellipse tool here, and I will just put this object in focus. And I will set feather to this mask to about 200. We put this object more in focus. So this is before and after. But this is too much, so I will press T and I will bring this to maybe 30%. Next, I add a little glow effect. This is before and after. And the next 3 is just color correction. So this is lumetri color. You can play with these values here and see what is best for you. And this is in this lumetri color I use this curve, and I create this S-curve effect. So this will fade blacks and whites also. And another one, lumetri color here. I also play with this value here. And I also bring this saturation down to red colors. So you can see before and after. And I bring this green color in shadows here. So you can see how this effect. I also add this grain effect here. So you can see before and after. And last one is just vignette effect. So you can use this with lumetri color, and here in vignette, if you go down, this will add black colors on the edges. If you go up, this will add white colors. So if I go to -3, this is too much. So I will go with -1 here. So let's talk about this scene a little. You can see here dust effect in this scene. And I will show you now how you can create this. Let's open this After Effects file. This smoke effect is basically just one overlay, and you can find here in links to all overlay I use in this scene. So I will just double click here, or I will just drag and drop this overlay. So this is how this look, and we can just drag and drop here in After Effects, and I will put this about here, and I will set this to screen. But this is, I think, too big, so I will scale this. I will bring this down to be visible only where is this C. And I will now add mask. Something like this, and I will now delete these unnecessary points here. And maybe I can try with lighting. Yes, I think it's a little better. And I will now just add feather here, maybe 200 or 300. And I will now just add opacity. If I press T, I can set here opacity, maybe to 30%. Maybe I can scale this a little. And if we press play, we can see this dust effect here. But this is just one frame, this is not a whole animation. I will import whole animation here, why not? So I will delete this one frame, and I will navigate to this folder where is my render. So just check this JPEG sequence and set this to 24, because I render this from Blender in 24 frames per second. And I will also import this glossy direction path and set this also to 24, and I will set this here. And if we set this screen blending mode, we get this we get more reflection for this path here. You can see before and after, but I think this look too destructive for this scene because we get too much lights here. So I will use mask to get this effect only on this area where is main character here. So I will also add feather here, about 200, and this is before and after. But this is too intense, so maybe 50%. So before and after. And I will also add another one overlay, and this is dust overlay. So this is how this look. And we can set this here, and maybe we can scale this down and set this to add or lighten blending mode. So this is before and after. And I think this is too intense, so I will bring this down to maybe 30%, and we can now play animation here. So this is how this look. Maybe these overlays are too intense. See how you can get this nice effect very easily. And I have this effect on these black bars also here, so I have one PNG image which I use for this. So this is just PNG with these black bars and with transparent background. I have another one here, so just put this on top, and if you press S to scale, you can scale this and fit to position. And I think this is enough for today. I will share this file with you so you can open them and explore, and maybe you can learn something new. And this one seen here will be my next step-by-step tutorial. So thank you for watching and see you next time.